So today's the day when we can finally reveal what we've been working on, and I am really excited to tell you about it. You know, we teased something big was coming 4 weeks ago, and of course there's been a huge amount of speculation and excitement about that. You know, it never ceases to amaze me what an incredibly enthusiastic and passionate community we have. And the fact you care so much about what we do is really pretty humbling. But let's get down to business. As many of you have correctly guessed, today we are announcing an all-new Affinity app. One single app for all creative workflows, whether vector and graphic design, photo editing and pixel work, as well as layout and publishing. Now, this was actually always what our initial vision for Affinity was, right back when we first started developing around 15 years ago. And of course, because of that, this tech has always been under the hood of Affinity, and we've actually even exposed some of that, particularly of course with Studio Link and Affinity Publisher. But that was still very much focused on a publishing workflow. If you wanted to do some photo editing, you were still far better off using Affinity Photo. It had a load more features and was better optimized for performance. And this is where the new Affinity takes it to a whole other level. It includes all of the features of Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo and Affinity Publisher, but without any compromise, and with a huge amount of engineering behind it to ensure whatever your project or workflow is, it remains incredibly performant. And on top of that, we've added all new ways to customize the app that have never been done before. This new app is simply called Affinity. It has a new brand, a new icon, and a new single file format, simply .af. Now, before I give you a quick look, I do just want to talk about pricing. Our teaser campaign was talking about true creative freedom, and that is exactly what we are announcing today. I am thrilled to reveal that the new Affinity is going to be entirely free forever for everyone. Now, if we go back 18 months, of course, we made pledges to you all, including always being fairly priced and for it to be accessible to everyone. Well, I don't think we could have delivered on those pledges more than making the app entirely free. Now, I'll be straight up that there are going to be some benefits if you have a Canva premium plan, but that is really just about AI. Affinity has never had that before, and it's entirely optional, of course. This is possible as we are looking at the full picture of Canva and Affinity together. But yeah, everything you know and love about what Affinity is, all the features which are currently in Affinity, along with the new features and updates in the future, will and always will be free. And of course, another fantastic thing about this is now everyone will be able to open and edit native Affinity files so you can share your work with anyone. All right, let's have a look at a demo. Okay, so this is the new Affinity. As you can see, it's got a brand new home screen where you can see your favorites and recent documents and any templates you've set up and stuff. Of course, you can start new documents here with presets and create your own presets and what have you. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this right now, but yeah, there's some nice functionality that's now available in that. Now, when you go into the main app, the first thing you'll see is it's now got this new Studio dock at the top. By default, it comes with a Vector Studio, Pixel Studio and Layout Studio. And of course, this is very much akin to Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo and Affinity Publisher, of course. And you can, of course, just seamlessly switch between these different studios here. But the thing that's now making this really different is you can customize these to your heart's content. So here I'm actually in the Pixel Studio, and I can click this button to customize my toolbar. So let's say, for example, I wanted my artboard tool in my Pixel Studio. I can just drag that across and add it. Or if I want, say, a picture frame. Now, obviously, previously, picture frames are only available in Publisher, but now if you wanted it within your Pixel Studio, you can just do that. We've also made it really easy to now kind of nest multiple tools together should you want. So if I go into effects here, you can see a lot of the live filters tools that you can add. So let me just start adding one here. And you can see it's starting to build up a dock there. So I can nest multiple tools together. So if I wanted to, for example, I could have a whole group of all my most popular effects that I like to use available. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that we've also added rich tooltips. And I just want to kind of point this out because probably a lot of you won't need them. You can actually turn these off just by right-clicking on the toolbar on the left, and you can choose to toggle that on and off. We've also got something called subtools now as well. At the moment I've got them hidden, but just to show you this, if I have subtools turned on, then it will actually give you a second toolbar with all the things that are nested. So at the moment I've got shapes selected, and it actually then exposes all my shapes. And I can actually dock this in different positions and what have you. So for now, I'll actually just hide those again. Of course, the top toolbar is fully customizable, kind of like what it was before, but again, you've got everything from all the different sort of studios that you kind of need in there. And I do just want to point out, actually, if I sort of zoom in, obviously at the moment I'm viewing this in vector view. You'd be used to this, certainly in Affinity Designer, the instant ability to switch between vector and pixel, and that's actually in this toggle here at the top. So at the moment I'm in vector view, I can click this to be in pixel. Just another little thing here, actually, I can right click on that and go to advanced and go into, let me just come out again, go into X-ray view as well as retina pixel view and that type of thing. So that's where those options are. And it would also just show you we've now added a floatable context toolbar. And this is something we've been asked about a lot. So at the moment, the context toolbar, that's this at the top here, is docked, but I can, if I just double click anywhere on there, actually undock it. And again, similar to those subtools, actually, I can sort of anchor this to any position on my page. You know, we know that, say you've got a brush tool, for example, like that, you know, a lot of tablet users actually prefer that stuff at the bottom. So you can actually, you know, do that type of thing now. But again, I can just double click on this little tab here, and that then puts it back up to be docked. So there's all kinds of customization options here, but the other really cool thing is that you can actually now create your own studio entirely from scratch, or base it on an existing studio. So in fact, if I just go to that option here, you can see there's actually some other default studios that we provide, things like retouching, color grading, typography. These are just other configurations of all of the tools and features that are available in the app. You'll also notice, I'll just point this out, that there's a slice studio. That's important because for those of you who use the export persona in some of our previous apps, that is basically what the slice studio is. And you can see I can turn any of these studios off and on, and it appears differently in my dock up here. I can reorder them if I like. But yeah, crucially, I can actually create my own studio as well. So I'll just do that. So I can create a studio, I can clone it from Pixel, is what I'm doing at the moment. So I'll just call this my perfect, if I actually spell correctly, my perfect studio. And I'll clone it from Pixel, I'll choose a color for it. I can actually create my own icon for this if I want, but I'll just choose one of the ones that comes as standard, and I can create it. And now you can see my perfect studio is at the top. And of course I can now go and customize this however I like. I want my brushes there. I might want different tools available to me. You kind of get the idea. And whenever you kind of update a studio, it's dead easy to save it. I just right click up there. I say update my perfect studio, and that now updates how I've saved that to be exactly as I want it. And you can actually revert very easily as well. If I go back to my Pixel Studio that I'd made a lot of changes to, and I added that artboard tool and what have you, I can just, if I actually want to go back to what it was previously, I can just again right click at the top and revert, and you can see those tools have now gone. So that's some of the kind of the core principles of what we've done around enabling and sort of, you know, all of these different kind of workflows with full flexibility now and the ability to create your own studios. So now I think I'll just move on to a couple of new features and other things to kind of point out. I'll start, I think, with some changes we've made to the fill tool. There's a number of things that we've done here. I'll just start with something simple. I'll choose this rectangle, and I'll just actually apply a gradient down the bottom. So just very quickly, one thing that we have actually added is a new pigment blend to our gradients. So you've probably noticed this before, when you kind of have a gradient between, say, blue and yellow, you can end up getting a bit of a muddy kind of mix in the middle where it's trying to sort of blend those two colors together. Now, obviously that isn't how it happens in reality if you were to say mix paint or something. So pigment blend actually gets around that, and you can see that as soon as I turn that pigment blend on at the top, it actually gives me green in the middle when it's blending those things together, which is obviously a bit more as you'd expect. So it's an option that you can turn on and off. The other thing which I know many of you are going to be very pleased with as well is that we have also added mesh fill as one of our options. So this face has actually already had that applied, and I can go to my gradient tool, and you can actually see the mesh that this is being built up from. And when you've got the the fill tool, you can just choose mesh as one of the other options, along with radial and linear and elliptical and all those other kind of things. And of course I can now sort of zoom into this and adjust the position of that mesh or change the color at that point or any of the other points to enable me to kind of create really nice sort of smooth textures in ways without kind of having to overlay lots of different objects all the time. So that's just a couple of things on fill. I'll show you also, if I just come to this image here, we have added a couple of new adjustment brushes. So you'll see these on the left-hand side. So I'm now in Pixel Studio. And you can see I've got an adjustment brush tool and I've also got a new filter brush tool. So what these are basically is if I just choose that adjustment brush tool, I can, in fact, if you look at the context toolbar here, you can choose what adjustment you want to apply. And I'm going to choose an HSL in this case. And I can now just use my adjustment brush tool to brush that adjustment on. So this is really just a workflow thing. It kind of saves having to kind of create a mask and invert it and then, sort of reapply it. So you can see once I've started brushing, the settings for the adjustment comes up. So I'll just brush it a bit more. And of course I can still go back in and change, let's say, the amount of saturation that I've added to that. And we've done exactly the same thing with filter brushes. Of course, we've got live filter layers in Affinity. So in this case, I'm going to choose a lens blur with my live filter brush, and I can just paint that blur on. And again, of course, I can go back and adjust the settings of that or mask it in different ways, however I kind of want to do that. Now we have actually added a new filter type as well. So let me go to this other example here. And this is a glitch filter. Actually, you know what? Just before I talk about that, you'll notice that, and you can probably see it here, that we've actually changed where you can access things like develop, liquefy, and tone mapping. We've actually put that in the context toolbar now, rather than previously they were kind of personas in Affinity Photo. And that kind of makes sense because you can't actually use any of those unless you've got an image or a pixel layer selected. So if you've got an image or a pixel layer selected, they're going to be available in the context toolbar. So here I can say grab liquefy and bend that around like I might have done before. Let me just apply. So yeah, we have actually added, we've added a couple of new filters actually. I'll just show you one of them, which is our new glitch filter. And this is pretty cool because it's actually got lots of different glitches that you can apply. So this is like a aberration distortion. You've got things like shred options. There's a whole load of different things you can do with this for some pretty cool effects. I think I'll go with scramble as one I want to apply here. And of course, as usual, any kind of live filters that you apply are non-destructive. So I can turn this off and on again. I can pick up my eraser brush and just make that a bit bigger. In fact, I'll make it a bit softer too. And I can sort of erase areas of that filter that I've applied away to kind of try and make it look like this dress is kind of dissolving away. So yeah, we've now also got this new glitch filter as well, which I think is really quite nice. Right, let me just talk a little bit about one of the kind of the layout type functions. I'll just come to this example here. Oh, you know what? Actually, before I do that, I'll just show you one thing. On this design here, I've actually got another layer. It's a PNG of a logo. So let's just say someone sent this to me. And if I zoom into it, you can see obviously this is a PNG because it's a raster version. You can see the pixels of it. But sometimes you might want a vector version of this. So I'm also very pleased to be able to say that we have now added image trace, and I can get that from the vector menu, vector, image trace. So yeah, you can see here that on the right-hand side is the original file, the pixelated version. On the left-hand side is the traced result. Let me just apply that. And of course, now that's converted to vector, I can deal with it like a vector object. So in fact, I can just break this apart, get rid of the background. I'll group those things, those other elements together. I can sort of resize it and move that down here. Of course, I could change the color of it. So yeah, I know that it's something that many of you have been asking for. So I'm really pleased that we've actually now added image trace to the app. Now while I'm here though, I'll just show you something else. So we've also made a bunch of improvements to data merge. I know this is quite popular with many of you. And we've actually added data merge now as a panel rather than the dialogue that it used to be. So if I go to layout panels, I can choose data merge from there. But I think actually, just while I'm here, it's worth me saying, let me just close that again, that we've also added a much easier way for you to find new panels. Because obviously now you can select any of the panels that were previously in Publisher, Designer or Photo in any of the studios, of course. It's all fully customizable. So if you go to this drop down at the top of a panel and go to the panels option, you can see this gives me a full list of all of the panels that are available. So I'm just going to search for data, and that gives me data merge up there. So I can now just turn that on and I can dock it. Now, I've actually already added a source file to this. It's just a spreadsheet. But yeah, as you can see, this is now a panel. It means I can actually also include this in any custom studio. So if you wanted to create your own data merge studio, this makes it, you could have your data merge panel, you could have your fields and all that sort of stuff. It's kind of one of the examples of why this works so well. But let me just add a text box. I'll just show you something new quickly. We've also added it much easier to insert fields. So I'm going to insert name and surname. I'll actually change the colour of this font. So I put it there. Of course, I can choose to either preview the record with the data or not, and I can, when I'm in preview mode, I can scan through it. But the other thing I just wanted to show you is that we have added more advanced data tools into the app. So if I go to this advanced data tools options, you can see you can now, within Affinity itself, see all of your data. There's all kinds of options that you've got to now filter it. So if I just wanted to filter this list based on the role of VIP or whatever it might be, I can now do that. I've also got process options to have rules about if I've got a blank record, what do I do? Again, these have been much requested features for data merge, and I'm pleased that we've now actually added many of those in. Okay, so there's just a couple more things I want to show you. I'm going to start actually with quick export. I'll come back to this example here, and you can see actually on the right hand, at the top right now, there's this new quick export option. And here you can choose different file formats. You can actually specify which file formats you want, like as your favorites. So at the moment I've got, say, on this list here, JPEG, SVG, PDF. If I wanted to add PNG to that, I can just select it from the list and turn it on. And now you can see PNG is kind of available. I can choose things like, do I want to select the whole document or an area, or there's just a selection only, and then click to export directly from here rather than having to bring up the main export document. You can actually also just drag and drop from here actually, and I could drag that into a different folder. I can even just drag it onto the document actually, if I wanted to. So that's a pretty big time saver. And of course, if you actually had this set up to go to a particular location, I could, if I wanted to, click on this, export, click on this, export, click on that, export, and it will just just keep going to that same folder that you set up. And sometimes it might be quicker than going to the full extent of setting up slices, and that type of thing. So I think they're the main things that I wanted to show you on the core app. I guess a few other things to mention is that we have also added EPUB export, both fixed and reflowable, and we've added loads of accessibility options within that to create proper accessible EPUBs. We've added linked text resources too, which again has been much requested. And of course, there's loads of other little enhancements. Oh, in fact, actually, I'll just show you this other thing because I really like it. On the pasteboard now, you can right click to get to shortcuts really to certain things like the ability to clip to canvas, or if you're showing your guides or showing your bleed. These are all now a lot more easily accessible rather than having to go to the view menu and everything. You just right click on the pasteboard. I can even actually change my pasteboard color from here too. So that's a really nice time saver that we've added. So yeah, I think they're the core things. Like I said, there's so many other kind of little improvements and enhancements throughout the app that hopefully you'll enjoy. But the next thing I did just want to show you very quickly is about Canva AI. And you might have seen this already when I've gone to customize my studios. You can see that there is a studio there called Canva AI. And this is basically the studio that will open up when you have a Canva Premium plan. So I'll just show you this quickly. So when I go into Canva AI, you can see that actually this has got AI tools. So down the left-hand side, I've got things like generative expand, generative fill, generative edit, portrait blur. At the top I've got options around remove background, select subject, and we've also got true text to image generation available as well. So I could type in any prompt here and generate an image. You can choose from what aspect ratio you want, how many images you want to generate, whether or not you want 4K or normal resolution, and you could even generate vectors from within here as well. So all of those features become available to you when you have a Canva premium plan, but as I mentioned at the start, of course, this is entirely optional as to whether or not you want to have that or not. So there you have it, the all new Affinity, and I really hope that you're going to love it. But there are just a few more things I just wanted to quickly talk about. Actually, the first thing just to mention is that, of course, Affinity is now a Canva product. So this does mean that you will need actually a free Canva account and log into your Canva account when you first download the app. I do just want to reassure you though, because I've seen this being asked a bit, that this is just a kind of a one-step process to sign in and activate, and from then on in, if you want to be offline, you can be. There is no need to be online to use Affinity. The second thing to say is that I've not mentioned the iPad app yet, and we are actually busily working on this. We've got some early builds, but we do need a bit more time with it. It's obviously going to be an incredibly powerful app, the most powerful app ever, I think, on iPad, with all the functionality that the new Affinity has. And we're hoping to have that in beta next year, fairly soon. The other thing, finally, just to be really, really clear, is that as we add new features to the core Affinity app, these will be included as free updates to Affinity. And in fact, just to sort of mention, because I know there's a couple of things that I've not spoken about today, we actually do have Blend tool, a really cool live blend tool currently in development. That's actually going to be in beta in just a matter of, well, next month or two. And we've also got full scripting capability coming very, very soon. So there's kind of lots to look forward to. Now, actually, the final thing that I want to say is that, of course, if this was a normal upgrade and it was V3 and it was a paid for thing, we'd obviously be turning around to all of you and say we're going to give you a discount to that upgrade as a special thank you for your support. Now, of course, we can't do that because this is a free app, so there's no way for us to discount it. So what we've actually done is we have secured now a wonderful curated collection of fonts from the foundry of Fontsmith, and they're beautiful. There's 41 font families, I think 400 odd different styles of font that's available in it. And these are going to be made available to V1 and V2 customers exclusively as a special gift from us as an alternate way to say thank you. We're actually currently rolling this out now. Might take a couple of weeks before you get notification that they're available for you, but that is something that you can really look forward to. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and we really hope you enjoy the new app as much as we've enjoyed building it. And you can go and get it right now, actually, and download the new Affinity from affinity.studio. Thank you.